Right. So next up, we have Dr. Anita Sukhwani. She is a consulting psychiatrist with over 23 years of professional experience. She is the founder of Healthy Mind Center, a center with a holistic and team approach to mental health. Founded in 2001 near Mahalakshmi Temple, the second center opened in Bandra in 2012. She also runs a daycare center for patients recovering from schizophrenia. Her interests lie in children, women, and family therapy. She is also the incumbent president of the Bombay Psychiatric Society for the year 2020-21. Ankita will be talking about parenting, and we would highly recommend if you all bring your parents along with you on call. This session will be fruitful to both of you all. Ankita, ma'am, over to you. There seems to be a technical error. She will be joining us shortly.
I'm actually thankful for this error because this gave me the opportunity to call my parents to sit for this. I'm
Right, please do. I think it'll be a good session. I've brought my parents along as well. They're joining in.
Yeah, I think that are going to benefit from the talks today the most than any other group, especially because of the resilient teenagers and the parenting workshop as well.
Right.
I kind of agree. When our parents benefit by learning all the stuff, I think we're the ones who are really benefiting.
For sure. In the meanwhile, Aditya, what was your feedback? How do you like the art-based therapy session?
It was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. Just the idea of picturing my strengths as a tree.
You seem to be into it.
I'm not much of an artist, to be honest, but I enjoyed drawing. I enjoyed doodling sometimes when I'm thinking, and this is exactly what you have to do, right? Doodle what you're thinking.
Right.
And I think the way Khadija did it, it was she made in such a way that anyone could participate, and it wasn't only for those who are artistically inclined.
That's
so
true.
I think that's really helpful.
I totally agree. If you saw my tree, I'm sure you would have judged me very heavily, but that's what I love about this space. It's such a free space. There's no judgment out here. People can just open up.
Right. That's what we're trying to do as well, right?
Yeah, I think that's the purpose of the entire workshop and everything that we're organizing, because the stigma around this topic, it really needs to be lifted, and by people right now, for me at least, I feel destigmatized in some way, at least about the topic. At least more than what was somewhere in a much better situation than what I was maybe 2 days ago. So I think that's the purpose of the entire project.
For sure. Also, guys, our speaker will be coming in just about a minute. I would still repeat myself and recommend y'all going and bringing a parent along. I think this will be helpful for both of y'all. So please go ahead and do that. In the meanwhile, we will have Anita joining us shortly. Thank you. Oh, there she is. Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Okay, now I'm just trying to adjust the light.
Okay, sure, no problems.
Am I okay? Am I visible? Is it okay? I'll switch off the light behind.
Whatever's fine with you, ma'am.
No, on the screen, is it okay, or there's a light shining behind?
It's fine. It's okay. It works.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so my counselor Priyanka Jhaveri will be joining. You'll have to give her screen sharing rights.
Yes, ma'am, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. hi Priyanka.
Hi, ma'am.
Is it too dark here? It's okay. My normal place is taken by Tushar. Better?
Yeah, I think we can see you clearly. I think that's
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Priyanka, you've got screen sharing, right?
Yes. Should I start right now or after you're done?
I'll speak 2 minutes and then we'll take it from there. I don't know. Tell me when to start, dear.
No, ma'am, we're good to go. We're good to go.
Sorry?
We can start.
We can start?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. So we have parents and young adults here with us.
Yes.
Okay, great. So good evening, everybody, or good afternoon. I'm Dr. Sukhwani. I'm here to talk about parenting and specifically parenting of young adults. And that is the population we are talking to, right? And this is Priyanka Jhaveri. She is a clinical psychologist working with me in my clinic, One Center. Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Before we start, I just want to say something I read which interested me, and I think it's for parents and generally the children. Okay. So one day when my children are grown, I hope they still come through the front door without knocking. I hope they head to the kitchen for a snack and slump on the sofa to watch TV. I hope they come in and feel the weight of adulthood leave them for their home. For my children, my door will forever be open. So that is what all parents hope, that they have such a great relationship with their child, that their child will always come back to them and they will feel comfortable when they are back with their parents. And their door is always open to their children, right? But sometimes there are difficulties that they face. So we'll just talk a little bit about parenting. What are the parenting styles? We will be having a little discussion on a slideshow, and then I will want to break into discussions with y'all in between. Is that okay with y'all? Just somebody tell me yes or no.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because I want to make this as interactive as possible.
For
Because
sure.
this is going to be a discussion. We need to understand your mind and then guide you. Okay? All right? Okay, great. So yes, I am a parent of a 24-year-old. So so we are both generations here. And what I have realized from my experience is there is no right parenting or there is no wrong parenting. I may be the perfect parent, but I still may have a difficulty which I need to address. All right? And there are various kinds of parenting. Some, depending on your personality, you may be an authoritative parent, you may be a disciplinary parent, you may be a negligent parent, or you may be a completely permissive parent. So that is how it is, and depending on your child's personality, that works or that doesn't work. So we will always face some troubles while we go through our parenting journey. And so let's look at this, parenting the young adult. Priyanka?
Yeah, I'll just start that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the next one. I want to talk a little about where I am and where you are. Okay. So I am a parent. I was born in 1967. I belong to Generation X between 1965 and 1979. And the young adult is Priyanka Jhaveri. She's a millennial. That's Generation Y. Born between 1980. I'm not going to reveal her age.
Thank you.
1980 and 1996. Okay. Now, just to take you all a little back, before 1965, my parents we were dealing with partition. They were dealing with partition. They were living at the time which was United India. And when I was born, it was already independent India. They had gone through a lot of struggles after partition. A lot of people lost a lot of things. They had to start from scratch. They had to build all over again. So the generation before us, before Generation X, saw a lot of struggles, okay? And they, but with a lot of difficulty. And came along. The Generation X, that's me, okay? So we had parents who struggled. So we were left a little on our own, right? We grew up on our own. We saw our parents struggle. We valued what we saw. We saw their difficulties. We understood what they went through. And we had a lot of learning from that. And therefore, we became a resilient generation. We became a generation who saw struggle, and we knew we had to cope and we had to struggle. And therefore, there was a little also feeling that when my children are born, I don't want them to see the struggle. I don't want them to go through the troubles that my parents have gone through and I have gone through. And yes, maybe we became a little more protective towards the millennials, right? So here you have the millennials between 1980 and 1996. Priyanka, I want to show the next slide.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about, like I started, I'm going to talk about my generation, and Priyanka is going to take you all through the next generation. Okay. So we, like I said, we saw parents going through struggle. We, in this generation, have turned 50 somewhere along the way. We've had exposure. During our generation, we saw the television coming. We saw personal computers coming. We learned video games came our way. We realized that there had to be two-income households. And we saw the stock market crashes very badly, right? And we were exposed to news, 24-hour news, which brought us information. That was our restrictions to getting our information. So those were our formative years. Those were our formative experiences. And because of our experiences, we learned we had to become independent. Sorry. We had to be resourceful. We had to be strong. We had to be direct to get our way ahead. We had to be transparent with people around us. We had to learn to be adapt. And of course, we learned a lot of ethics from our previous generations. And therefore, we wanted, obviously, a work-life balance. Like today, if you ask me, I am from a generation which I have transferable skills. I'm sitting here and my bulb goes off and I may not need to call an electrician. I may just get up and change the bulb. Okay? So I have learned this from my parents and from my generations before me, right? So this is where I am. I am Generation X for y'all. And Priyanka, where are you?
Yes. So thank you, Doctor, to now let me begin with the millennial part of it. I'm sure a lot of kids right now are going to be able to associate with what I'm going to be talking further. And so obviously, the first millennials are going to be turning 50 in 2030. So we're like almost there. And during the formative years, we all have been exposed to now smartphones, and the entire screen time that has now increased is thanks to the smartphones that have come along, which is also not a very good thing at some point in time. And social networks have started increasing during our period. And now, what is helicopter parenting? Now, a lot of us are going to feel that, oh, my mom is always hovering over me. She's always trying to like find out what I'm doing and where I'm going. Why is she asking me so many questions? That is a part of helicopter parenting, which means that they don't want to directly be a part of our lives, but at the same time, still do want to keep a check on what's going on in the kids' lives. Also, we did get exposed to a few major terrorism attacks that did happen during our time, and reality TV. So initially, as Doctor mentioned, that they were more exposed to news. Now it's completely switched over to where we're constantly in touch with what's going on on reality TV. Now, because of these exposures and because this is now our experience, the traits that we have built up is being more tech savvy. So a lot of times we will have our parents coming to us and asking us, how do we do this? What do we do? And obviously, because we have a little bit more knowledge with respect to that, we tend to help them with that. So we do become a little more tech savvy. And multitasking has become one of the most common characteristics for the millennials, where there are so many things happening and we're just trying to do a lot of things at the same time. Also, a lot of the millennials are going to be young parents. So with respect to that, also to manage their kids, schooling, all of that, and plus housework, professional work, all of that happening at the same time. And collaborativeness, where we're also looking at working together. Now, there are so many startups coming up, so many different companies coming along, because we're trying to collaborate with different sections. And self-confidence has become one of the most important traits that people have started building up for themselves as well. Diversity has become one of the main things, because we're also looking at so many other elements together at the same point in time. A little bit of competitiveness coming in because of that as well. And though we are also setting in a positive attitude, we're also being optimistic about it, about the future, especially with respect to the pandemic situation that is going on, though this is something that we all can connect to at this point in time, be it millennials or the Gen X. But having an optimistic attitude is important. Multicultural. Now, a lot of people here with inter-community elements, multicultural, we're also being exposed to so many different cultures, and we're also adapting to that culture, mainly the Western culture, which is what now coming into an Indian section, and we are becoming a little more westernized in some way or the other. And also goal oriented. So we do kind of set goals, try to achieve them, get all our resources together and go ahead and work towards it. So these are the most common traits that are coming across with respect to the millennials. Also workplace flexibility. We don't really want fixed hours. We want, initially it was more like a 9-to-5 job sort of a thing, but now I'm sure a lot of us are also working from home and everything. Working hours have gone like completely over the roof. No one is following 9-to-5 anymore. Though a little bit of flexibility is definitely something that we want. We want some of our terms and conditions to be met whenever we're at the workplace. Also mentorship. Dr. Sukhwani has been a really good mentor to me. I have been working with her, and that is something which is also helping me. So even though I do have the experience and the knowledge, always having someone to help us and guide us is always the best thing that we can work on. And we do tend to do meaningful work, because we are doing so many things at the same time, we're more focused on some certain areas as well and land up doing a meaningful work. A lot of times we're always trying to find the reason, why are we doing this? What is the purpose behind it? That is what we want. Right? And recognition, obviously, with respect to everything that we do, we're always trying to get recognized, wanting appreciation. These are the elements which are mainly coming across as the traits of millennials. So this is a little gist of what Gen X is and what millennials are all about. I am going to take you to the next slide.
Would anyone want to ask any question at this point?
Ma'am, we will be taking questions in the chat box. Okay. We will address them.
Okay, in the chat box you're taking. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So a little bit of the milestones of what life is like during the 20s. Normally, everyone who is in this lifespan is finishing college, also trying to find a career, trying to get a little bit of settlement with respect to the professional section. So we're looking for jobs. Relationships are building up, so dating, and somewhere a little bit, some people also do get married earlier though. So dating, marriage, all these aspects are coming in at this point in time, and getting to know themselves as to who they are or what is their own identity is what is building up for people when they are in their 20s, and defining their career and life success. So as I said, a lot of choosing what you want to do and the career that you want to set for yourself normally happens at this point in time. Life in the 30s. Now, obviously, we've moved on a little bit from that basic career aspect, and we're looking mainly at the advancements. What is the next goal? Where do we want to be in the next 5 years, 10 years? All these aspects starts developing at this point in time, because we're trying to advance our careers, we're trying to progress in life. Also, major relationship changes happen. As I said, marriage is one of the aspects, young parents is another aspect. Travel becomes one of the goals, always on the bucket list sort of a thing, that I do want to travel all over the world as much as possible. And saving up, settling for yourself, doing your investments, all these aspects start coming along at life in place. And starting a family, as I mentioned earlier as well. So a lot of young adults, young parents come under this section. Doctor, you want to take over?
Yes. So then we enter the 40s, where we've settled a little, we have established a career, or maybe you've gone through your career changes. You have had a family, you are raising children. And of course, now the 40s is different. We don't really think about retirement, but like, you know, we had a session yesterday with the 50 plus and the 40 plus. It's like, this is the time you need to start thinking that what is it towards retirement, your financial planning, your careers, your houses or investments, everything, because you have to start thinking about the next phase of your life, the next generation of your life. So you start investing, you start saving up, you start planning your houses, everything. Okay. Also, you start planning for caregiving as parents and grandparents. You also have your parents and grandparents to look after. So the role is, playing multiple roles here. And yes, a lot of us, I have to continue learning, not only doing courses, but learning from y'all, the millennials. So that's a continued process. So it moves on. Life in the 40s is a continuous process. You're moving towards your next period in life. Okay. So just to give you all just think about this. I'm talking, I want parents to think about your child and how's your child doing, and think about something positive about your child. Think about one negative trait of your child. I want you to think about how you'll deal with it. We may not discuss it now if you don't want. Just give it a thought as to how are you dealing with the positive aspect of your child. How are you dealing with the negative aspect of your child? And then we can look at it. Also to the young adult, I want you to think, because now we'll enter discussions after this, is what are your thoughts on your parents? What do you think about your parents? Have they been difficult parents? They've been good parents? You've had some positive interactions with them. You've had negative interactions. What is it about them that affected you all the most? So please give it a thought, write it down, and we'll discuss it. Yeah? Okay. So what are the challenges parents face at this time? All right. So like Priyanka said, you all are all multitasking. You have your Zoom calls with your friends. You have your work to do. My son is sitting on the table outside. I've come back from Pune just now. He's not had a chance to say hello with me because he's studying. He's preparing for a GMAT exam, and then he also wants to talk to his friends. So whereas a parent comes in and you just say wave to your parent and say, Mama, I'm busy. So I'm competing for my child's attention. I want to come home. I want to see my child give me a hug and say hello to me. Mama, how was your day? How was Pune? No. So I am competing for my child's attention with everybody around. Okay. And I do have lots of things at hand. I am fragmented. So even I am struggling with my life right now. I am also struggling. Like, yes, in the last 6 months, I've got to using this computer, slide sharing, Zoom calls. It was not something I was used to. So obviously Priyanka has been there, and I call Priyanka, I can't do this. Priyanka, you do the slide sharing. So I'm also fragmented. I'm also struggling here. So we are also going through our ups and downs. Okay. And every time I talk to my child, I get confused messages. Sometimes when I want to talk to my child, he doesn't want to be there. For me, he's busy. Sometimes when I don't have too much time, suddenly I see my child wanting to come and sit with me and talk to me and pick my brains on something or share some grief he may be wanting to. So I'm also getting different messages from my child. So I don't know what is right and what is wrong also. So I am in a stage of confusion as a parent also, right? And like I said, I'm also struggling with the challenges of social media. Of course, we've learned, and especially the lockdown has been a big learning for us. You know, this my generation to get onto all these Facebook, Insta, and be connected with Zoom with my colleagues, my siblings, my friends. It's been challenging, right? And yes, of course, you know, all of us go through ups and downs in our moods. So maybe my child is in a bad mood and I don't realize it. And he may talk back and I feel he's being rude. So I have to maintain my composure. I have to maintain myself and see that I'm not being rude back to the child. So I am facing unsettled children. I am facing children who are also going through their challenges, right? And at the same time, I am handling my challenges. We've turned 50. We are looking at certain health related problems and problems related to everything around me. And shifting of my roles and responsibilities. I have an aunt to take care of. I have my elderly parents to take care of, and I have the next generation to take care of. So these are the challenges I face as, you know, in this generation. So, Priyanka, do you all want to discuss right now? How do you all want to handle these challenges, the parents, or do you want me to take it in the end? Do you all have solutions to this? Anyone? Okay, so I think we'll take it in the end. Let's finish this.
We have some responses in the chat box if you want to address them, but they aren't questions, they're more.
Okay, so we'll do it in the end, I think. Let's just let it finish and then we'll take everything in the end.
Sure.
Okay, Priyanka?
Yes, I'll just change the slide.
Yeah. Okay, so as a parent, there are certain things that we must be careful about. Okay? Yes. Sometimes when my child is being rude or sometimes my child is preoccupied and not able to give me time, I cannot go around telling them you're rude and you're not there for me when I want you. So let's stop making our next generation guilty because they have their hands full. They are also going through their adjustments. We have to comprehend their problems. Okay? And very often, if my child is not giving me time, I would say some things like, I want to say things like, I never did this with my mom. I never behaved like this with my father. I was always there when my parents needed me. And also, very often I'll tell them, okay, if I were you, I would have done this in this manner. If I were you, I would not have spoken like this. So we are very used to imposing our way of doing things on our children because we have learned in a particular manner and we expect our children to behave in a particular manner. But that may not be the best way for them because they have found their own way of functioning. Okay. And we constantly, like I said, we constantly compare how we dealt with things and how y'all are dealing with things. Now, going back, we've learned it from our experiences and we have to leave it to you to learn from your experiences. So comparing children, imposing your way of doing things, and like Priyanka said, helicopter parents. So we've come from a generation where we were probably struggling and therefore, like I said, I don't want my generation, my children to go through struggles. I am probably being protective, not protective, probably being overprotective. And that can strain relationships, right? Okay. And what can we do as parents? That was what we shouldn't be doing, right? What should we be doing as parents? This my generation is, yes, I need to give you all your privacy. I need to give you all your time. Allow you all to take independent decisions because yes, we took independent decisions, and I feel I need to protect you, but yeah, sometimes it's wrong. So we have to allow you all to take independent decisions or admit when we are wrong sometimes. Sometimes as parents, we make mistakes and it's okay to admit, right? Reduce commenting, accept their partners. Millennials have, yes, their relationship with people around is different. We grew up in a different generation. I grew up with having one boyfriend and marrying that boyfriend. Or my parent looking for a boy for me and I agree to get married to them. But y'all are different. Y'all meet more people. Y'all are more exposed. Y'all are learning relationships. So sometimes, yes, as a parent, it's difficult for me to accept that y'all are, it's trial and error process for y'all. Yes, but we need to learn to accept your partners. As a parent, we need to be willing to help y'all. We need to be able to reach out to you all. Yes, it's difficult because like I said, y'all are so preoccupied with the multitasking that y'all are doing. It's difficult, but we have to keep trying. Okay. And when you all request us for advice, yes, I should be available and be there to help you out. Not like I said, impose my advice every time on you all. Okay. And make it clear that your child is still a very vital part of your family. Even if children are living independently, doors are, like I said in the beginning, doors are open for you all. Whenever you have questions, whenever you have queries, whenever you want to cry, whenever you want to share a happy feeling, we are always there for you, right? And of course, like Priyanka made you all realize, we have to learn, to share with you all. Whenever I'm in one of this today, why did I ask her to do screen sharing was because I knew I might have a little struggle with screen sharing, and I may have to call upon my son or my husband to be here to help me, but they're not there for me now. They are very busy with their role. So I have to adjust to the reality, and therefore I requested Priyanka, you take it over. I don't want to burden them because it annoys them sometimes. Every time to call upon my child and every time to call upon my husband, look, I'm struggling, help me. My 24-year-old will come running and say, Mama, why can't you learn? Why can't you get it? I've told you 10 times, but it's okay. I'm struggling, I'm still learning. Okay, so I have to learn to adjust to the realities of the digital world. I have to learn to trust my children with their decisions, raise them for their efforts, and we need to share our wisdom without being critical. So like I said, every time I don't have to tell you I would have done it this way because I did it this way. Maybe I can just tell you, oh, I used to do this in that manner. Just drop a hint. I don't have to expect you to follow it. I don't have to tell you that you should be doing it this way. I, as a parent, just drop a hint and make you realize it yourself. Okay? Yes, of course, we need to recognize and respect our differences because we have grown up in completely different generations, right? Set boundaries. Yes, we need to learn to share, but at the same time, draw a line how much you can share with each other. Do things that you love together. The biggest thing that I have learned in this pandemic is, in spite of everybody living in their own zones, I need to bring us all together at some point in the day, play some games or play a board game, because we need to come and bond. We need to have that sharing. It's like if I remember after 10 years, if I remember, okay, board games means what to me? It means bonding, it means sharing, it means time with my child. So you have to do things together that you love. I mean, now it's difficult, but playing a game of chess or playing a game of badminton or going for a walk together, going for a swim together, things that you love together, holidaying together, which we'll all do that again after the pandemic. Yeah, making family a regular thing. So I think this is what as parents we should be doing. I give back to Priyanka, deal with the young generation.
Right. So now I'm going to move on to the challenges that we as young adults face, right? Now, sometimes because of the situation that we're in, we are not given the opportunity to choose. As the doctor said, that sometimes parents would just impose their decisions on us and we kind of have to oblige to that and go ahead with that. So sometimes that does create a challenge for us. We're not able to choose as to what we want to do. Not given enough freedom, as I said earlier, that sometimes we have these deadlines. You have to be home at a certain time. You can't go here, can't go there, don't hang out with this XYZ friend, not really good company. So enough freedom with respect to a lot of factors may not be given. Also, as we are also transitioning from children to adults, we are going to have our own opinions. But for our parents, we're always going to remain kids, right? So they are going to treat us as a child more than an adult. So that again sometimes can get a little irritating because we obviously are suggesting something as an adult and they would be like, oh, you don't really know about it, sort of a thing. And hence not being able to make decisions on our own can be another factor that can cause us a little bit of a trouble. When they are comparing themselves with us, they speak to us in a condescending tone and they'll be like, oh, you don't know this, etc., etc. And that kind of gets a little irritating again, right? And for people who are getting married, for young girls who are getting married, leaving the nest becomes one of the major difficult factors because they've been with their parents for such a long time. And now they're going to have to move into a different house, adapt to that culture, and family system over there and also live with different people. So leaving the nest kind of becomes a little bit of a difficulty. Also for people who are moving abroad to study, are also planning a career abroad or just trying to settle in over there, that can become a little bit of a difficult element at some point in time. Again, longer single lives. Now, a lot of us don't tend to get married at an earlier age. We're trying to pursue our careers. We're becoming more professional with the age. So also longer single lives is something that can hinder us, because sometimes parents can be pressurizing, but we're not ready for that as yet. And that's why dealing with the societal norms at that point in time could be a little bit of a difficult element. Financial insecurity, because we're just starting off, we're settling ourselves, we're finding our career, we're finding our calling at that point in time. We're still not financially settled in, so there's a little bit of uncertainty here and there. So these elements can start causing trouble. Overwhelming options. Now, because of today's generation, there are so many things out there and we have so many multiple choices. I remember once I was actually talking to my mom and she was telling me that when we were younger, we didn't have so many career choices. We didn't have so many choices to pick from. And now there are so many choices. And because of these choices, also we can get overwhelmed, and picking the right option at some point can become difficult. But always we can figure out help with respect to that and then go ahead on the basis of that. Some kids living with parents is also difficult, because we want our freedom, we want to live our life the way we want. And when we're living with parents, sometimes that can become difficult because their rules, their regulations, and we need to follow that, right? As opposed to if we're living independently, we're kind of doing it on our own. So for a lot of people, living with parents also is a difficult section. And shifts in roles and responsibility as the transitions are happening. We're also having a lot of responsibilities that come our way with respect to finding careers, or with respect to starting a family. All these elements can create stress at some point or the other. Now, certain don'ts for the children with respect to the parents specifically is don't ignore them. Yes, we have a busy life. We have a lot of things going on around us, but not to ignore them, because at the end of the day, they do need our attention as well, right? As Dr. mentioned earlier, they are seeking attention. So as a part of our role and responsibility, try not to ignore them and give them as much as time as possible. Not to disrespect them. Yes, they are learning. We have learned so many things from them. Our existence is because of them, right? So in order to respect them is one of the most important factors that we as children can do, as just with the pure fact that they are our parents. Don't belittle them for not knowing something. At some point, you didn't know something as well, right? And they were the ones who taught you that. So as a part of children now, because we are more tech savvy, and major struggle comes along with technology these days, but try to help them out with respect to it. As Dr. mentioned earlier, just 2 minutes before the session, she called me and told me, can you screen share? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So the whole point is that when they need this sort of an assistance, always be ready to give it them, because they are struggling and we have the ability to do it. Let's just go ahead and do it. Now, certain do's. Love your parents.
Ma'am?
Yes.
I'm sorry, can I cut you off for 1 second? We have a question, I think, which pertains to the slide before. And
Right.
also I've been getting queries. If y'all want to ask questions and y'all are embarrassed because your parents are on call, feel free to send it to me privately. I will read them out without taking your names.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So please send it to me privately. My name's Shubh Kapadia. It's on the chat. The question, I think we have a question here. How do you make your parents understand where you're coming from during disagreements without hurting their feelings? And how do you tackle the generation gap?
Right. Okay. Doctor, do you want to take that or should I take that?
No, you take it. You're handling this.
Okay. All right. So basically, the most important factor here is to communicate with your parents, because without us telling them what is on our mind, they're never going to be able to understand us. They can't read our minds. So it's always important to communicate with them, to tell them what our thoughts are, what our feelings are, and to also keep it in mind that there is a chance that we ourselves could be wrong at some point in time. So to be open to their suggestions as well, and not be closed in that aspect, right? Because they are also a lot more experienced than we are in some certain areas. So taking their suggestion, taking their opinions in these sort of situations will always help. But with respect to when they are not understanding where you're coming from, right? As I said, that if you're going to communicate with them, try to explain them the situation in a little more easier way so that they can connect better as well. Because sometimes as with today's generation, we do land up using some certain words which they may not be able to connect with, right? And that kind of becomes a little bit of a problem for them to get where we are coming from. So speak the language where they are going to be able to connect with at best. And once you do that, I'm sure it's going to be a little more easier to bridge in the gap.
So I'm just going to add a little here. Sometimes what happens, I mean, at the end of the day, y'all are adults, y'all are grown up, okay? Y'all have your viewpoint, I have my viewpoint. So there are certain things we may not come to a conclusion or an agreement on. So sometimes it's okay to discuss the thing. And if we both feel that y'all are safe, we may agree to disagree, okay? And it's okay to agree to disagree as long as you reduce the friction between you. So I may not want something that you want to do, okay? And if you explain to me that is right for you, I may still disagree with you, but we have to reach a deuce and agree to disagree, and that's okay. It's okay. Everything cannot be an agreement all the time with everybody. If two people have disagreements, then it's okay, right? Did I answer that for you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I think it's in continuation of that. Another question that has come in is, how can a parent actually explain to a child that a particular thing that they are doing is wrong at the time and not apt, and the child might think that it's right for them? So how do you deal with that?
So see, I'll answer and Priyanka, then you add on.
Yes, no, that's why I didn't say anything. This is your question.
No, so when you're talking to your child and you know that they're doing something wrong, like I said, you will put your point across. The best way to explain something to somebody is to talk about, make a list, a column, advantages and disadvantages of a particular thing. Okay, get into a discussion with them that if you do a certain thing, these are the advantages and this is are the benefits of it. And if you do something, these could be the pitfalls of it, these could be the disadvantages, and this could be the harms that come out of it. Okay, weigh them, weigh the advantages and disadvantages, because I cannot force, a parent cannot, in today's generation, force a decision on you. As a parent, it is my right to guide you, to correct you, but I cannot force you. So at the end of the day, it is your decision. But as a parent, you have to show them the mirror and you have to show them what's wrong and right. And of course, as a parent, if you think that this child is going to go out and hurt themselves and do something wrong, then yes, then I have to draw boundaries. I have to set boundaries. Okay, but boundaries come in only when we feel that you're going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. Right?
Right. Right, perfect. Thank you. Also, just a reminder, please feel free to ask questions to me privately. I will be addressing them. I think we can do one more question before we can continue with the presentation.
Sure.
This is one of the anonymous ones. So I'm just going to read it out. My father, being a professor, doesn't like my best friend being too cozy with her. Being too cozy with the person and considering my family as hers in such short while that we're together. But she loves and respects him like anything, and we love each other and have decided only to go forward if our parents are okay with it and feel it's all right. How do I handle the situation?
Priyanka, answer that. You want to?
Yeah. So one of the factors in this situation is try to understand the reason why your parents don't like the person concerned, and what are the elements that are coming in the way of your relationship. Now, once that is done, if you feel that those are valid pointers, obviously try to work a little bit on that. But if you feel that there is a different side to this than what your parents know, try to show them that side. Get her to spend more time with them, get her to get them to know her better. Because that way they are going to be able to connect more, they're going to be able to understand each other better as well. The chances are that the equation becoming better is a lot more. But as I said, first try to understand the reasons why they are not agreeing to this relationship. Doctor, if you want to add on to that.
So I just want to understand the question better. Well, is there any objection or is there any active interruption happening in the relationship?
From what I can tell, ma'am, it just says that I'm assuming that the father is a professor to both of them, and that's the only objection. He doesn't like.
Yeah. So it's as long as he is not showing his displeasure, and as long as he's not showing anger, and he's just not very happy with it, it's okay. Your relationship, as long as you're not crossing boundaries, okay, you have to, and you believe in that relationship, you continue doing what you're doing as long as you don't cross that boundary and don't annoy your father. When the time is right, you will pick up the question and get into a discussion. Because as of now, if the parent doesn't want to communicate, you cannot communicate. So let things be as they are, as long as you don't cross boundaries. It's okay. Okay.
I think we can go ahead.
All right. Okay. So getting back to the certain do's of what children can do with respect to their parents is love them, help them whenever required, ask for help, right? As doctor mentioned, that they're always going to be available to help us, right, in everything. So far throughout their lives, they've always tried to be there for us in some way or the other. And if you are struggling with something, always ask for their opinion and ask for their help, because they are going to be able to help you out through that. Do things that they love together. Now, one of the main things that we can do as a part of spending time together, right? Because sometimes what happens is we all could be a part of the living room. We all are sitting in the living room, but we're still doing our own things. We're not really doing a together activity. We're not really spending that time together, right? Everyone could be there on their phones doing something or the other individually. That is not really the definition of spending time together, right? Try to do any activity together. Now, best is to do something that they like so that they can enjoy it as much and be a part of it at the same time. One very good suggestion, as doctor mentioned earlier, is to play board games. Everyone these days do connect with that. So that is another factor that can be done. Make them a part of your life. Let them know what is going on in your life. So one of the factors which I mentioned earlier is to communicate, to on a regular basis tell them what you're doing, how are things going, what is a part of your life, and overall get them to know you better. Give them their space as well. Now, if we would want our space, it's only fair that we give them their space as well, right? In order for them to do what they want to do also. Try to reduce their responsibilities. Now, one very good example of this has been the current pandemic. We all have had different responsibilities. We all have been in a situation where there is a lot of work at home itself. We've not had helpers coming over. Obviously, in the beginning, now it's a lot more better, but in the beginning, there was a little difficult situation. Obviously, helping them out in these things is the best thing that we can do. Because they are our parents, it's only fair that we help them through that. So make their responsibilities easier, reduce their responsibilities as much as possible. Whatever, understand their day, whatever they do, try to see what are the things that you can take up from that and help them in order to do that. Make them feel special, like once in a while do something special for them. I remember Mother's Day was a part of the pandemic disaster that has happened, but a lot of kids and I myself did something really special for my mom just to, you know, change the mood in order to make her feel special at that point in time. Admit when you're wrong. Don't get argumentative, because yes, we can be wrong and they are going to be right also. So admit when you're wrong and spend good time with them, as I mentioned earlier as well. Be available for them. have some specific time allotted through the day where you can just spend time with them, understand them. Just again, a good way to share your day with them, get to know how their day is going. So spend good time with them. Maintain family traditions, discipline, and rules. Now, one very, very important factor, which a lot of kids these days believe that, okay, it's okay if I don't do it. It's okay if I don't come for this gathering, social gathering, family meeting. Why do I need to come? I don't know half of the people who are there. All these things do come up, right? But it's important to do it because we are a part of the family. It's important to maintain some certain rules and regulations as well, right? And be kind to them and take care of their physical and mental health. As much as we are focusing on our health and our physical needs over the period of time, understand that they are growing older. They are going to have more needs. They are going to have more physical and mental needs as well. So take care of their health and help them to do the best that they can in their life zone. So together we make a family. I guess now we're going to take questions and take it from there.
Right. Okay. So I'm just gonna read some of them out. One question was how to deal with when your parents say to you, you don't know anything about the real world, and they just disregard what you have to say because they think they know better. So I think that's what they're asking.
Right. Good question, because yes, a lot of kids are probably coming across this sort of a statement. Give them examples, okay, is what I would think. Because when they feel that you don't know the real thing is because they don't know how you are dealing with life, right? So the initial factor where I mentioned, make them a part of your life, that's exactly where this comes along. Get them to know you better, get them to know how you deal with some certain situations, and give them examples if there have been one-off situations here and there where you know you've dealt with it really well and have been able to get out of the situation as well. Give it as an example, help them understand you better, because again, the chances of them getting away from that thought process is a lot more when they know that their child is secured, they know that you're going to be able to handle it correctly. They're always on alert when they feel that you're not going to be able to deal with it correctly. That's why all these statements come along. But if they have that confidence in you and if they're going to trust you with respect to that, they'll be fine. And so will you.
As a suggestion, if my child turns around and tells me, Mama, take a deep breath, just relax and calm down, let's talk about it. The parent will relax, take a deep breath, and maybe think twice about what they are saying. So what I'm trying to say is, don't make it the difficult situation. You know, yes, your parent has said something, and they're probably angry at that moment, and they're coming from their past. As a child, yes, you are upset because they're constantly encroaching your space. But tell them, Mom, take a deep breath and let's talk about it. That 2 minutes, you may not even feel the need to talk about it. The parent may just understand and turn away and say, okay, do what you want. I'll come back in 15 minutes. So the thing is that at that moment, control the situation. Don't get it out of control. That's important.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to add on a little bit to what Doctor has said with respect to take a deep breath. It's also something that you need to do for yourself, right? Because if the opposite person is angry, obviously they've said something that you're not going to like. It's important that both of us take the deep breath, calm down, and then talk about it. Because if you get angry in turn, not going to help, not going to come up with a solution. So it works both ways.
Yes.
Right. I think that answered the question really well. I think okay. The next question is from a parent. How does one communicate that parents know best for kids and want to prevent them from getting hurt or disappointed when the parent thinks that they are?
So the question is, the parent wants to communicate because they think they know better than their child, is it? I didn't get the question.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So like I said, you have to communicate. Give your child your experience and leave it at that, because then it is a child's decision whether they want to imbibe it or not imbibe it. We cannot, as I said, as a parent, I can only guide and show the way to my child, but I cannot take their hand and cross the road with them every time. I cannot take their hand every time and make them do things. So at some point, and we're talking about the millennials, we're talking about you guys being in 20s and 30s, you all are not minors anymore. So at that, we have to, as a parent, realize that you're an adult in your own right. You have learned along the way, and give your opinion and see, watch your child. No? If your child is going to fall, you're going to pick up your child. You're going to be there for them. So as a parent, I mean, I'm a parent, and I would also expect my child. I do give my opinion to my child, but I expect my child to take their own decision, and that's what I would do.
Fair enough. I hope that answers the question. Next we have, okay, this is how do I communicate with a parent who's not much of a talker and is introverted? Like, how do you reach out to them?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Priyanka, I'll take that for now.
Okay. Point is that in order to communicate, they don't need to talk, right? If that person is an introvert and if not too much of a talker as such, it's okay. You can still continue to jabber your day out and just tell them whatever is going on in your life, and they just need to listen, right? So it's absolutely okay if that is a trait. You need to do the talking. You need to share your day. You need to share your life with them. Just go ahead and do it. Don't think about it twice.
Okay, I have a suggestion, and that works brilliantly for me. Okay, I have a WhatsApp group of my family. WhatsApp works superb.
Yes,
Okay,
that's another
I
thing.
will send a message to my child. I am reaching home in 15 minutes, or my parent. I have been doing it for my child. I am reaching home in 15 minutes. I want you to do this, this, this. Would you get this done for me, please? The same thing a child can do to the parent. Messaging and WhatsApp with a non-communicative communicative parent works very well. At the end of the day, you want to give your message. And if your parent is not WhatsApp friendly or message friendly or phone friendly, it's okay. Write a note for them and keep it. It's okay. Give it to them. Your parent will understand and comprehend the situation. So I think there are ways and means of doing things, and we need to figure it out in our head what works best for our parents. Yeah.
Perfect. Another private question I've got is, okay, this is an interesting one. My family is one of professional doctors, lawyers, and engineers, but I want to be a guitarist, and I know that they will not accept it. How do I reach out to them? How do I tell them this is what I want to do?
Tough one for you, but not impossible, right? Like I said, and like Priyanka very rightly said, the only way to reach out to them is communication. I like to, as an example, in the pandemic itself, I like to have family meetings. It's fine. We are four of us. We will sit down and we'll discuss a problem. We will discuss a difficult area of our life. So I was discussing with my family, if any one of us gets COVID, how are we going to deal with the situation? Rather than battling the problem when you reach the problem. Okay? So this child can probably take up medicine without talking, can do engineering without talking. But if you don't thrash it out with your family and communicate to them about what you feel, your parents will not understand. Okay? So you have to keep trying, and you have to keep your communication channels open. The moment you shut off, you have lost the battle, and you're going to follow you're going to become a doctor or an engineer, and you're not going to be happy. All right. And another thing, how old is this child? Can I know?
Around 20, 21.
Okay. So he's already made important decisions. Bachelor's is done, and now he's realizing it. Because sometimes what happens, being a musician, yes, we have a passion. It could be just a hobby, and we start thinking, yeah, this could become a profession. Okay. But it may not be so. It may be very difficult to pursue this as a career. So always have a parallel education on hand. Okay. Unless you know for sure you've gone through your career counseling, you've gone through everything, and you know head on for sure this is what you want to do. You can do your master's in it, but be completely sure of this, because you could regret your decision later. So probably meet even a career counselor at that point and see if that decision is right with your parents. That's something I would advise. Right?
Right. Correct. Thank you so much, ma'am. Next we have, okay. Okay, this is a fun one. Why are so many parents obsessed with getting their children married to someone of their choice without considering their own?
As I said, we are from a generation and we are used to that. Our parents decided for us. But yes, there are some of us who broke out, and y'all are a generation who has more freedom. It's difficult for this my generation to understand, but it is not impossible. Okay, like I said, the parent is seeing the next generation multitasking, growing, more exposure, knowing more people. It's not going to be easy to restrict your child. Okay, as long as communication channels are open. I keep going back to this is my favorite line, keep your communication channels open and you will be able to solve your problems. So yes, I understand the parent, but you as a child need to talk to them and explain to them, introduce your girlfriend to them, be sure that they have understood where you're coming from. That's what I would say. Priyanka, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I agree, because that was one of the main factors that I spoke of earlier as well. Just get them to know them better, your partners better, and get that connection going somewhere. The chances are they'll agree with your choice and not impose their choice on you.
Right. Perfect. I think we have time only for 3 quick questions. So if you can answer them like in a minute or under, and I will be stopping to take questions because we're a little hard pressed on time, but we can do these 3. Okay, really quickly, how do you deal with a parent who's always belittling you for not knowing certain things or not being able to do things in a certain way or the way that they'd want you to do it?
Priyanka, answer that first.
Right. So in order to first understand what are the pointers that they're talking about, why are they belittling you? That is one major factor. Plus, a lot of times the parents land up doing this is because they feel you're not going to be able to handle the situation well. Okay. Or that they have actually seen that happen, where you have probably made some certain mistakes and you've not dealt with the situation correctly. Okay. Now, always try and evaluate what the situation at hand is at that point in time and talk it out to your parents that this is what I think I want to do. This is how I want to sort out the problem. What do you think about it? So first give them your process, explain to them what you think about it, and at the same time take in their suggestions as well. Now, the reason why most of the time they don't trust us with our decisions is because they feel that we are of this generation who is not going to be able to handle the hardships of life, or who is not going to be able to deal with the world in a way that they have dealt with it, right? So, as I said, get them to know you better, get them to know your strengths, get them to know what you're actually good at and how your mind works. What are your thought processes? What are your feelings? And give them examples of these situations as well. So that is a way where they are going to be able to connect with you better, trust you better, and at the same time not get into a situation where they're constantly talking off, putting you off in some way or the other. So just try to explain them where you're coming from, explain them the situation and talk it out through that.
Also adding to that, when a parent belittles a child, the child is hurt. Make your parents realize you're hurting me. It hurts when I can't talk to you. So it's okay to tell your parents that, it's not nice to hurt me and let's discuss this better.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Correct. And I think I can sum up with one last question, which I think will be a common one for most households. In the lockdown, because you're living, it's basically big boss in every house. So how do you deal with that friction? And what can you do to minimize it, be a little more helpful towards family? And yeah, your opinion on that.
Sorry, what was the end of that?
What is your opinion on how to decrease that animosity or friction that you might have?
Okay.
Right.
Take that, that's a nice one. That's a long answer.
Right. Yeah. So one rightly said, because of the pandemic, we all have gone through a situation which none of us have even dreamt of that we're going to be here, right? And as I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of things that has come across our way in this process. Try to share your responsibilities, right? And this is something that I would tell the parents as well, talking on behalf of doctor. Get your family involved in the process, because the more they get know what is going on around and what are the things that actually need to be done, they're going to be able to do it better. So at the end of the day, just have a little quick family meeting, understand what are the things that are needed. A lot of time of late, obviously, vegetable shopping, grocery shopping, all these things are things that need to be done, right? Pick up those responsibilities and just go ahead and do it. If now all of us have started going out of the house at some point or the other, so even if you're just like randomly going for a drive or something, just ask your parents, is there anything that is required in the house? I'm going out, I'll go get it. It's as simple as that. Like, these things, don't make it a big deal in your mind, right? Yes, there would be things that we've probably not done all this while, and we've not really had the experience to do that. But again, this is a new situation for all of us, right? So there's always a first time to do something. So take this up as that opportunity and go ahead and do it. Plan the day better, plan the, everything that is required in the house and everything that needs to be done. Just plan it better and then divide these responsibilities among the family members, because that's how it's justice for everybody, and it's not going to be workload only on one person to go ahead and do everything that is required in the house.
Right.
Doctor, do you want to add on to this?
Like I said, bonding is important because that brings you all closer. After dividing the responsibility, also realize that one person cannot be burdened in the house. And the second thing is, pull out all the books that you have not read, pull out all the games you all have put away in your cupboard, and bond together. That has helped, I think, a lot of families survive the pandemic because it has brought happiness back into their lives. That's what I would say.
Right.
Any other questions? I think you said we
Perfect.
are short of time.
I think that's our time. Thank you so much, Priyanka ma'am, Anita ma'am. I think I personally learned a lot. I had a lot of fun. I know for sure our participants did as well. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Just want to say a sentence before I leave, something interesting. I mean, something nice, all right? When things are bad, remember it won't be always be this way. Take one day at a time. When things are good, remember it won't always be this way. Enjoy every great moment. Thank you, parents and youngsters. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Right. I hope you all like the talk. If you all did, please. Okay. I hope you all like the talk.